Welcome to this Vicinity session. In this session, we are going to learn how to configure a gateway API and an agent. These two components belong to the core components of Vicinity and allow the users to access the Vicinity cloud and publish their information, as well as access the information of the neighbors. In order to set up these two components, we first need to create an access point. Then we will download a Docker environment that will start the both services. But before, we will configure the gateway API and the agent, modifying their files. And finally, I will show you how to run both services. First, we are going to access the neighborhood manager under this link. Then we are going to log in with our credentials. Once we are logged, we will see this dashboard full of options. We are just interested in the Access Points tab. Here we can see all the access points we have created. In this case, we are going to create a new one. First, we are going to write the name of the access point. In this case, Hackathon AP Test. Then we are going to set up the password. And also you must select in the access point type Vicinity Agent. And then finally submit. Now we can see here our new access point that has the name we specified before, an AGD, and the type. Once we have created this access point, we must download the Docker environment. To do so, we should access to the Vicinity account in GitHub, specifically to the Docker Services repository. Once you access this link, you will find a very extensive description on how to install, download, and use this Docker receipt. We are going to copy this git command into a terminal, paste it, and execute it to download the directory. Then we are going to grant to the downloaded folder special grants to read and write. Following, we are going to access the folder. In the downloaded folder, we have three files: the README, the receipt, and a config folder. The first one contains the description and instructions to use the receipt. The second file is the Docker receipt. And finally, the third one is a folder that will contain all the configuration files we need to modify to set up. We have two folders, the gateway and the agent. In the gateway, we have a configuration file that is fixed and requires no modification from the user. Then, in the agent folder, we will find other three configuration files. The last one specifies where the gateway API is actually located. In this case, it's an internal Docker Compose IP, so we do not have to touch this. Then, the other file contains the credentials for our system, and we have to specify this. In this case, this information is in the neighborhood manager. In the access point we registered before, we should copy the AGD and paste it in this config file. And also we should specify an adapter ID. This is important because we are going to use it later. In this case, we are going to use as ID Hackathon Test. And finally, in password, you should write the password you used when you created the access point in the previous step. With all this, we have already configured our agent and we are ready to start the Docker services. Well, there is also this other file that is the DB folder that is empty, but when the agent will run, we'll start creating files. We should not touch these files. So now what we are going to do is move to a terminal in the root directory of the folder we downloaded. And we are going to start the Docker receipt. In this case, the command is docker compose up. We could use as well the argument -d to avoid printing all the logs in the screen. But we are interested, for the sake of this session, in having the log on the screen. So here you can see the log of both the agent and the adapter. Now both services are running in our local host. What is left to do is to register the thing description of a service that will be used by this access point. To do so, we are going to access this local link that exposes the current configuration of the agent. Right now it's empty, so we are going to register a thing description using a postman request. In this case, the type is post and the endpoint is this link. And the body will contain the thing description. In this case, we have to set up the adapter ID, which is located in our configuration file from before. And then we need to give a name to our service, in this case, read data service. Following, we need to specify the type, in this case is core service, and the version of this service. Finally, we are going to specify the OID of this service. The OID in this case is located in the neighborhood manager, here. Now, once we have set up everything, we send this request and check the response from the agent. In this case, we had no error and we can keep on. Now we can go back to the agent local endpoint and be sure that the thing description was correctly registered. With this, we have finished to set up our gateway API and our agent, and we are ready to prepare some contracts to access neighbors' data. Find here some useful links to the resources we have used in this session, and thank you for watching.